So welcome to this video. My name is Alex, and in this video I want to talk to you about exactly why the media is selling Satanism to our children. Now, to most people that might shock them, or they might think I'm being paranoid, or that I'm some kind of a conspiracy theorist. But actually I've been studying this subject for over 15 years, watching and observing the media very closely and the message it's putting out very closely for over 15 years. And it became very obvious to me a long time ago that the media is promoting some very, very dark messages to the general public. And this idea of Satanism, it used to only be promoted in horror films, but it's now coming more and more mainstream, and now it's come to the point where Satanism is actually being promoted and sold to our children in their TV programs. Now again, you might think I'm paranoid as some kind of overprotective parent because I have 4 children of my own, but actually, if you see the evidence, you'll see that it's undeniably clear that this is happening. The problem is most people don't know what satanic symbolism is and how Satanists kind of promote and get people interested in their belief systems. So if you watch the video, which is linked in the description of this video, it's called How the Media is Selling Satanism to Our Children. You'll see that video contains plenty of evidence, actual evidence. In fact, it's all evidence. It's all evidence from TV programs, movies, books, magazines, video games, sweets, you name it. Very clear, absolutely clear that the media is trying to sell satanic ideas and beliefs to our children. So again, this video isn't about debating that or trying to persuade you that that's true, because the other video, which is linked in this description, will prove it beyond doubt. So please, if you have any doubts about what I'm saying, just look at that video and it will be proved to you beyond doubt that the media is doing this. Now the big question is, why are they doing this? Why are they trying to sell and promote Satanism to our children? Because they want to get kids comfortable with the symbolism of Satanism. They want kids to get comfortable with the idea of Satanism, with the realm of Satanism. They want it to become familiar to children. That's why you've got programs like The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix, which is such a horrific and dark program. So brutally violent, yet it's made for teenage girls. It's recommended for teenage girls aged 13 and above, but it is extremely violent, gruesome, gory, horrific, and it sells Satanism. They mention Satan's name endlessly through the program. That it's all about a young girl who's required to sell her soul to the devil on her 16th birthday, and how she lives with her mother's family, her mother's family, who are all witches, and they all love Satan, and they constantly say, "Praise Satan." You can research this for yourself. It's called The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. You can look on YouTube at exactly how dark it is, and it's pure Satanism. It's all the symbolism, all the colors, all the symbols. It's not even hidden. It's not subtle. It's putting this message out that Satanism is cool. Satanism is empowering. Satanism is kind of rebellious and anti-authoritarian. They're trying to sell Satanism to young girls. And it's very clear. You don't have to take my word for it. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Satanism is also being sold in pop music through artists like Melanie Martinez, Billie Eilish, Post Malone. Endless artists are promoting satanic messages in the pop industry more than ever before. Endless films. I mean, watch the video. If you watch the video linked in the description, you'll see all the evidence. So I'm not trying to persuade you of this. The big question is, why do they want our kids interested in Satanism? It's because there is a huge satanic agenda, enormous satanic agenda, coming down from the very top. So it comes from the very most powerful people in the world, the billionaires, people who are actually into Satanism. Now this might sound crazy that billionaires would be into Satanism, but if you understand what Satanism is essentially a belief system which makes everything permissible. So it's kind of the anti-religion to Christianity, which if you can consider that Christianity is about being moralistic. What's the word? Having morals, having boundaries that you don't cross, and decency, human decency, and respecting what God's given you, and respecting the human body, and respecting the freedom of others, and being tolerant and loving. And Satanism is all about indulging all your fleshly desires. That's what Satanism is about, and I've researched it for long enough, and I've made enough videos about it. And I'll include one video in the description, in which I describe exactly what Satanists think, what they practice, what they believe. So Satanism is about indulging all the fleshly desires, just doing whatever you want, and there's no taboo, there's nothing is out of bounds, anything is permissible. And that's why rich people like Satanism, and why Hollywood actors and famous people get into Satanism, because you can be as perverted as you want. You can enjoy any perverted practice. You can enjoy child abuse and torture and drinking blood and sadomasochism, and nothing is off bounds in Satanism. And that's why it has an appeal to people who get into the dark side of human nature. They get into their lusts, they get into their desires, they get into their perversions. And if we think this isn't happening, if we think there aren't huge numbers of people getting into their kind of perverted human nature, then we're very naive, because the world we live in has a dark underbelly. And this dark underbelly of society is the ones who want to indulge in those practices, who want to take advantage of children, who want to sexually abuse children, who want to even torture and hurt people. And there's many, many more people, millions more people than we realise are into this. And it's the Satanists. This is what Satanism is all about. And so these powerful people and these people who run the media, they want your children to get interested in Satanism for several reasons. Firstly, because they have an agenda to turn society on its head, to subvert or kind of turn upside down everything that generally we hold as sacred, everything we hold as right and decent and humanistic, which basically comes from our Judeo-Christian roots. They want to turn that upside down so that anything goes. Like I said, Satanism is about everything being permissible. Well, the Satanists want us to have a society where anything goes, where there's no sexual boundaries. People can get into whatever they want to. A bit like Sodom and Gomorrah, this idea that any fleshly desire is good. There's no bad. There's no such thing as bad. We decide what's good and bad with our own thoughts. So if I feel like I want to do this, and it involves, cruelty to somebody else, and I'm okay with that, then that's okay. That's what the Satanists. That's the kind of society the Satanists want. And so they need millions and millions and millions of children, or people who are going to grow up into being people with power, people who are going to be members of the society. They want them all to have sympathy with Satanism, so they can start thinking, hey, I'm kind of familiar with Satanism. I'm used to seeing these colours. This red and black are the two most common colours associated with Satanism. And you'll notice now in the mainstream, in fashion, in online, on video games, on adverts, you see the colours red and black are used a lot, and I mean a lot. So just notice those two colours, red and black. A lot of children's clothing is now coming out in red and black, and you see gamers, a lot of gamers stuff, controllers, the gamers chairs that people are buying, it's red and black. Because the Satanists are trying to get these colours, get children kind of, acclimatized to these two colours, so that they think, yeah, when they see Satanism and they see red and black, it's like a subtle trigger, it's a hypnotic trigger. And they think, oh, I'm familiar, everything I like is red and black, or my clothes are red and black, or my gaming equipment's red and black, and all the games I play, and all the things I watch, and all the music I listen to, they all promote red and black. And you'll see it in the pop industry, red and black is used a lot. On pop albums, on satanic pop albums, pop singles. A good example is Louis Capaldi. Divinely Uninspired to a Hellish Extent was the title of his album. which the cover was red and black, and it's a very, very pessimistic and negative album. I've read the lyrics to every single song, and there's not a single positive word there. It's all about losing, feeling hopeless, things disappearing, pain, sorrow. And this is what Satanism is about. It's about implanting a nihilistic psychology in people. So it turns around this inbuilt desire we have for positivity and inbuilt, impetus to move towards positivity. And it's turning this around in our society using the pop music industry, which is flooded with pessimistic, negative and dark messages. Hopelessness, despair, nihilism, flooded with these messages. And lots of music, a lot of the songs are really flooding children's minds with these pessimistic and negative images. Just have to look at the artist Alan Walker and look at the songs, look at the lyrics to his songs, and he's one of the most popular kind of youth artists, Alan Walker. And you just see these messages are everywhere. That give up hope, everything is hopeless, everything's pessimistic, everything's dark. So that subverts or changes our mentality about how we feel about the world and our outlook on the future, and it changes it so that we see darkness in our mind. Our mind becomes a place of darkness instead of light, which is what it's supposed to be. And God will help us to have a mind which is focused on the light if we come close to Him. If we learn how to orientate our life around God, then God brings our mind into the light and brings our heart into the light. And I know this from personal experience. I've been on the spiritual path for 25 years. And 8 years ago, God led me to realize that Jesus was real, and I needed the help of Jesus. I needed Jesus in my heart. If I was going to go through this next stage of my life and help people in the way I had to, then I had to recognize Jesus. And I'm very grateful I did, because He's illuminated my mind, illuminated my heart, to the point where I can take on. I'm taking on this satanic agenda in society, because it's pure evil, and I'm not afraid of doing this. I'm not afraid of doing this at all, because I know that God is with me, and I'm under God's wing. So I'm not particularly concerned about myself, and I'm concerned about the people who are being victimized, the children who are being flooded with satanic messages, so that they grow up feeling more close to Satanism than they do to, say, Christianity or any religion which is about peace, about love. There are many religions with a positive message: Buddhism, Hinduism, Jainism, messages of peace, non-harm, non-violence, love. There are many religions, but Satanism is the opposite of all of those. It's about defiling your body, defiling your soul, turning your mind to the darkness, getting involved in the darkness, using your body for fleshly desires, and all and everything that you can kind of get into, all carnal lusts. Nothing is out of bounds. That's what Satanism is. And so young people are going to grow up, because the media is indoctrinating them, thinking that Satanism is cool, Satanism is liberating, Satanism is empowering, Satanism is anti-authoritarian. So the media is like their big brother, trying to convince them that, hey, you must be you're a Satanist. You're born to be a Satanist. Satanism is cool. Satanism is your destiny. And this is what they're doing. The media are doing this, trying to encourage kids that Satanism is where they belong. And they're doing this by subtly slipping in satanic messages, satanic symbolism, satanic colors, satanic programs, satanic music, satanic sounds, because there are certain sounds. You can have sounds which sound holy and speak to your heart and make you feel joyous, and then there's sounds which sound dark and ominous and very discordant. And those sounds are powerful, and we're hearing a lot of music like that now. Not only in the charts, but also on Instagram, on the adverts. You're hearing a lot of weird music, because sound is very powerful. Sound really changes what's going on in our heart in a very powerful way, which is why sound is a great tool. If you want to bring more joy and love and peace and happiness into your heart, then you use music, you use beautiful music. But we're seeing the market flooded with dark music, dark sounds, pessimism. And like I say, you do this for 5 years, 10 years. You start from young children, because they're programs aimed at young children, 5-year-olds and above, which are promoting Satanism. And that may sound shocking, but all you have to do is look at the video in the description. It's called How the Media is Selling Satanism to Our Children. And they're getting the kids early. They're getting the kids acclimatized to what Satanism's about, so that as they grow older, they feel drawn to Satanism. And Satanism is being kind of popularized now with the Satanic temple in America, on this massive PR campaign, telling everyone that they're about social justice and reaching out to help the downtrodden, and lies upon lies, because Satanism is all about lies. Satanism is founded upon dishonesty. And again, you can look at the video I made in the description. It's called Exposing Satanism, or something like that. And it gets you into the psychology of Satanism, how Satanists work, how they think, and what their agenda is. And so they're lying to the public. They're promoting themselves in completely the opposite light as they actually are, to what they actually are. Satanism is so dark, so evil, so cruel, so heartless, so deceptive, and they're promoting themselves as this free-loving, empowering social justice organization, and they're being supported by all the films and programs and pop music in the media. And the kids are thinking, hey, Satanism seems pretty cool, the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina and lots of other things are promoting, like orgies and things like that. So teenagers are thinking, ooh, if I get into Satanism, then I'll be able to go to orgies and things like this. And I'm not joking. You may think I'm joking, but Satanism is doing everything it can to draw young people into its dark, perverted, and flesh-driven world of satisfying the flesh, satisfying the fleshly desires, forgetting about morals, forgetting about boundaries, and just be about satisfying fleshly desires. So it's roping in the young people, especially with programs like the Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. It's roping in young girls. And the reason this is because Satanists, people talk about Christianity being oppressive and being oppressive to women. But goodness me, if you knew about Satanism, if you knew what they did to girls, young girls and women are the most oppressed demographic in Satanism. Satanism is such a male-orientated movement or religion. It's so male-orientated because it's fleshly. It's run by the desires of the flesh and the desire to feel this dark power that people get when they do dark things. This kind of dark pleasure from doing the forbidden, doing things which they know are wrong, they know are evil, they know are perverted, but they do them and they get this dark pleasure, and it's like an evil pleasure, and it's what kind of feeds Satanists, this dark pleasure, this dark satisfaction of doing the most hideous and cruel and just what can I say, just the worst things imaginable to people, to kind of desecrate their own soul. It's a rebellion. Satanism is a rebellion against God, and it's all about desecrating what God has given us, this beautiful human body, this heart which can love and care and do so much good in the world. It's about desecrating that, polluting that, defiling it in the worst way possible. And so it needs victims. Satanism needs victims, and the victims are usually children, and they're usually women, young girls. Satanism is all about sexual indulgence and sexual abuse and taking kind of advantage sexually of women, because it's such a male-orientated religion. It's very, very male-orientated. So, this idea, this kind of picture that the media is promoting about, it's promoting in programs like The Handmaid's Tale and many other programs, that Christianity is oppressive and Christianity is, chauvinistic and Christianity is misogynistic and blah, blah, blah. I know lots of Christian women, and they are the strongest women I know. Empowered. Women who know Christ, the women who come to know Christ are so empowered. They're so strong, and they're not pushed around by their husbands. And the Christian men I know are gentle, have a gentle spirit, because when you let Jesus into your heart, he changes your heart, he changes your spirit. You become a peaceful person, a peace-loving person. Of course, many Christians don't truly have their heart changed by Jesus because they don't really accept Jesus, or they don't really give their heart to Jesus completely. Because if you do that, then Jesus changes your heart and you become a more gentle-natured person, more peace-loving person, a more loving person all round. So this idea that Christianity is about male oppression and male dominance is nonsense. That's the media. That's the media trying to turn young people against Christianity so that they will sympathize with the Satanists, because the Satanists are completely against Christianity. They hate Christianity. And so they're trying to gather followers by portraying Christianity as the enemy in so many TV programs and films. Hunger Games, Handmaid's Tale, The Watchmen, Hunters, with Al Pacino, Righteous Gemstones. HBO is one of the worst networks for this anti-male, anti-Christian propaganda. One of the worst. Netflix as well, equally hateful in its portrayal of Christians and Christianity. And so we have this big movement in the media to get your children interested in Satanism, pull them over to sympathizing with Satanism, so that they get involved with Satanism. It's as simple as that. It's about getting as many people involved as Satanism as possible, because the Satanists need victims for a start, and they also want an army. Imagine, look at what happened in Germany. Hitler indoctrinated the young for so long, for over 15 years, and when they had come to the age where they could, contribute to society, make a difference, join the army, he had a national army, or a whole nation of youth people, or young people, who believed him, and that's what kind of took Germany in the direction it went in, because the young people were indoctrinated. So if you imagine indoctrinating all the young people across the planet with satanic sympathies, with an interest in Satanism, and doing that year after year after year for 5, 10, maybe even 15 years, you imagine the youth growing up like they did in Germany, sympathizing with Satanism and hating Christianity. That's how the satanic agenda wants to change society, wants to tip it on its head, because it hates Christianity. Because Satanists hate purity, they hate goodness, they hate boundaries, they want to indulge in everything they can. They want to indulge in anything that gives them some kind of dark pleasure. And so that's why the media is selling Satanism to our children en masse. So please look at the video in the description called "How the Media is Selling Satanism to Our Children," because your kids are probably watching programs, in fact almost definitely watching programs which are selling them Satanism, playing video games on their screens, on their iPads, on their Android phones, almost certainly playing games which are selling Satanism or satanic ideals to your children. They're almost certainly reading books which is selling these ideals and these belief systems. It's everywhere, absolutely everywhere. So please look at that video in the description. I want to reach out to parents, really, because when parents realize what messages their kids are getting via the media, then they step in and they say, hang on a second, no, you can't look at this. This is not good for you. And that's the role we should be taking, rather than saying, hey, you decide what you want. If the media wants to hypnotize you and make you want bad things, or make you believe bad ideas, and hey, it's up to you. I trust everything will work out. As parents, we've got an enormous responsibility to protect the mind of our children from darkness, from evil. And evil is flooding through TV, books, films, pop music, video games, magazines, toys, you name it. It's coming through. It's prolific. It's flooding through these avenues, And so look at the video in the description and you'll see that this is the case. So please, if you're a parent, step in. If you see your child is looking at some of these things and getting some of this information, getting information in their head, step in and say, look, your mind is precious. I'm going to help you look after your mind. You can't watch this anymore. You can't go on those sites anymore. Really need to protect our kids because the media is grasping. The media is reaching out for them in ways you would not believe. I'll just end this video by saying, you've heard of in the Bible it talks about the image of the beast and how everybody will be worshipping the image of the beast. Well, the image of the beast is the screen. The screens that everyone is worshipping. Because you know what worship means? Worship comes from the word worth-ship. So when you give something worth, it has worth-ship. And how do you give something worth? How do you give it value? You give your attention to it. Whatever you give all your attention to, or most of your attention to, you're giving worth to that thing, you're giving value to it. And so people are worshipping, they're worth-shipping their screens, like the screen is the most important thing. And people are worshipping the image of the beast because this screen is where the beast is reaching out through the mainstream media, reaching out to kids and getting kids to trust the media. Because if the kids can trust what's on their screen more than they trust what their own parents say, then the media has won the battle for your child's allegiance. The media has your children's allegiance. Because the children are like, no, the screen tells me this. Mother, father, you're wrong. Whatever you're saying is wrong. That spiritual text or whatever you think, whatever that feeling you have in your heart, it's wrong. Because the media is telling me that it's this way. The media is saying that I should believe this. The media is saying that this is good, that Satanism is good. So I trust the media because I trust all these websites. I trust YouTube. I trust all my favorite television channels and television programs. I trust them. And that's what the media is doing. It's reaching out for your kids' allegiance so that it can tell your kids what to think, how to feel, what to believe, and what is right and what is wrong. And it is leading them into Satanism. If you want to, I'll put one more video in the description, which is, if you want to understand this whole thing and why it's happening and what the agenda is, what the bigger agenda is, there's a video in the description called, Exposing the Antichrist Agenda. Because this is the Antichrist agenda. The Antichrist, who's written about in the Bible, he's a man who's going to arise in society as a leader, and everyone's going to think, wow, this guy's great, this guy's going to change society, and he's going to garner all the support of all the people. Everyone's going to get behind him, thinking he's the man to change the world, to lead us into an era of peace, and he's going to get everyone on his side. But he's the Antichrist. He is a Satanist, and he is working for the Satanic agenda. And he will, once he's got everyone on his side, once he's got everybody behind him, supporting him, he will slowly start to use the power that he's got in society. And just think if the media is preparing all your children to get behind the Antichrist, and this is millions, if not billions of children are being encouraged to get behind this guy, to get behind this Antichrist, think of the support he will have. And then he says, okay, this is what needs to happen in our society. The Christians are ruining society. The Christians are making our society, are preventing us from having an inclusive society. The Christians are preventing us from having a tolerant society. The Christians, they hate gay people, and the Christians hate blah, blah, blah. And the Christians are the hateful ones. The Christians are the bad guys. Hey, everybody, let's get rid of the Christians because they're ruining this world for everyone. We want a world of tolerance, inclusivity, equality. And the Christians, they want the opposite. Let's get rid of them. That's the message the Antichrist will slowly over time start to get seeping through the media into children's minds, that the Christians are the bad guys. And this is the message that the media is putting out, has been putting out for a long time, and it's getting more and more strong. The hate towards Christianity is growing more and more strong, and then the devotion is being channeled towards the opposite of Christianity, which is Satanism. Because the Antichrist agenda is about turning this world into hell. So the Satanists can just have this paradise of depravity, a paradise of satisfying all their perverted desires and abusing, and it's like a pervert's paradise. That's what the Satanists want. They want a pervert's paradise, and they are trying to do this through the mainstream media, and they're trying to get the children on board, getting the children to sympathize with Satanism so that they are ready for their leader, the Antichrist, who is going to, who, by the way, I know who the Antichrist is without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt, and I'll tell you now that it's Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. You may not believe me, you might have your own ideas, but he is the man that's going to get everyone behind him, who's going to make everyone think that he is the leader. And he's been doing this already. If you look at his Instagram speeches, he's been doing this already. He's been saying, I'm a leader. Where is the compassionate leader who's going to stand up and say, I care about you. I care, I love you, blah, 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 blah. He's acting. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is the Antichrist, and he's gathering people because he will become the President of the United States. You mark my words, there is no doubt about it. And he'll become president sooner than most people are expecting. And then he will have the support of all the people, and all the young people are going to grow up, and they're going to see, he kind of mirrors what the media, he's mirroring the same kind of things that the media is saying. He's mirroring the same messages as the media. So the media are programming and preparing the youth to get behind the Antichrist, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. When he starts giving his big speeches and kind of getting everyone on board, he will have his army, and it will be an army of millions, and an army of young people. Did you know in the Bible, I think it's Isaiah 3:12 or 5:12, it says, as for my people, the children are their oppressors, and the women are their rulers. So women and children are to be the oppressors and rulers of God's people. And that's because it's an Antichrist agenda. And the Antichrist is reaching out to the children and the women, because they are the ones who are most vulnerable to his message, and they're being indoctrinated into thinking that Satanism is where they belong. Satanism is familiar, Satanism is cool, Satanism stands for freedom and pleasure and all this stuff. And it's happening right now. It's been happening for several years, and you need to open your eyes to it, and you need to listen to what I'm saying, because I know this subject extremely, extremely well, and I know with absolute certainty that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is the Antichrist, and he'll be taking a position of power this year or next year, and you will see that this is something that we all need to be educated about, because it's affecting our children, and it's a very, very dark agenda, to say the least. That's an understatement of the century. But we can do something about it if we become aware, and we can protect our children and save our children from being pulled into Satanism by the media. So please watch the videos in the descriptions. They're very, very important, and they'll fill in this picture that I've been giving you, and make everything make sense. So thank you for watching this video. I wish you well, and God bless you.